Testing, testing.
Yeah. Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to the APNIC 50 conference. This is the APNIC member meeting session 1. Before I hand over to the chair of the meeting, I'll just go through a couple of housekeeping notes and a couple of reminders as well if you're joining back. Be mindful of the code of conduct published on APNIC 50 website, and it will be shared in the chat box as well. If you have any questions and comments, please raise your hand and to speak so we can enable your audio to ask your question, or you can post your questions and comments in the question Q&A box. We are also providing scribing for this meeting, so if you do speak by raising your hand, please be clear and loud so we can capture that and provide the scribing transcript on screen. Now, if you are feeling confident today, how about sharing a photo of you joining us from your home or office on Twitter, and please use hashtag APNIC50. Now, that's all from me. Now, I'll hand over to our chairman of APNIC Executive Council and the chair of this session, Gaurav Rajupadhyaya. Gaurav, over to you.
Thank you, Sunny. Hello, everyone. Once again, welcome to the AMM for APNIC 50 that we are doing here today. Fully virtual. Pretty excited and sad at the same time that we are not in person in Dhaka, which we were really looking forward to for the last couple of years. Before we go into the AMM proceedings, I would like to invite my fellow EC members to introduce themselves. The EC members are elected by APNIC members for 2-year terms, and the elections generally happen at the apricot meetings. But I would like to go around the Zoom gallery to get my fellow EC members to introduce themselves. Start from myself. I'm Gaurav Upadhyay. In my day job, I work for Amazon Web Services. I've been on the EC for almost 9.5 years, and I've been the chair for 4.5 years. Originally from Nepal, but now I live in the US. I would go next, Kenny.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Kara. Good afternoon, all the APNIC members. My name is Kenny Huang. I'm an Executive Council member of APNIC and also currently the Treasurer of APNIC. I'm from Taipei. I work for TWNIC, Taiwan Network Information Center. Thank you.
Maz.
Hi, this is Yoshinobu Matsuzaki. I'm an EC member. I'm working for IIJ. It's an ISP based in Japan. Thank you very much.
Yudong.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Yue Dongzhang from CNCERT Beijing. I serve as the EC since last year. And okay, that's all. Thank you.
Achi. Achi, we can't hear you. Maybe we go to Sumon and come back to Achi.
Sorry.
Oh, now we can hear you.
Hello? Yeah.
Excellent.
I jump in again. Sorry. Achi here from Philippines. Thank you for the support. I just been elected last February together with my colleague Sumon. Day job, I work for Globe Telecom for as peering and interconnection manager. Thank you.
We have Sumon.
Hello everyone, I'm Shubham Samir. I'm from Bangladesh, and I'm a newly elected EC and happy to serve as EC. And I'm from Bangladesh, and we've been very happy if you could host it in Dhaka, but unfortunately it's not. We are doing it virtually, but maybe sometime we'll come back to Dhaka again. And I work for Fiber at Home, one of the transmission service provider in Bangladesh. And thank you very much.
Paul.
Yeah, hi everyone. Hi, Garib. Thank you. My day job is known as the Director General of APNIC. So in that capacity, I'm also on the APNIC EC. So this is, I guess, a gig I do on the side. Thank you.
I think I'm waiting for Kamsi to join. Kamsi is our EC member from Hong Kong, and he is joining shortly. I think I saw him earlier and then he disappeared. So thank you all, EC members. We'll go on to the agenda for the day. And we have a, well, pretty exciting, if not dry, agenda today. We'll start with the Secretariat report, then we'll have the financial report from our treasurer. Then we'll do a quick report from the EC. There'll be an open mic after the 3 presentations. Then we'll have the NRO NC election results. The election closed already, and I believe the scrutiners and the election chair are working on the votes right now. So we'll have that, and then we'll have a short break, and then we'll come back for more updates in the afternoon session in some parts of the world, I guess, later in the day. So up next, I'll ask Paul to start with the APNIC Secretariat report. And also I'll ask all the other EC members to turn off your video while Paul is presenting. Thank you very much.
Okay, I hope you can hear me and see my screen. Thanks to everyone for being here for the members meeting. I'm Paul. I'm the head of APNIC, and I've got about 20 minutes to give you a brief report of Secretariat activities in this latest period. The last time I gave this report was in Melbourne at APNIC 2020, and that was actually the last major internet event globally, I think, that happened face-to-face before everything locked down. So since then, it's been a very different time for everyone. Almost every face-to-face event around the world has been disrupted since then, along with all the travels and the other preparations. So that took us quite a bit of adjustment, but we've shifted now into a completely online, at-home mode of work. And that's something you'll see in this report. Some of our activities are still actually business as usual, but some are very different. Of course, there's also a financial effect, but you'll hear about that after me when Kenny comes up to give his Treasury report. So something from the last report is our new strategic plan for 2020 to 2023. That is a new 4-year plan. It's quite different from the last plan in its structure. And this sort of classical diagram here gives us the 5 pillars on which APNIC's strategy is going to be sort of constructed in this period. The pillars are membership, registry, development, information, and capability. And so we have 5 pillars, and inside and at the next level down, we've got a whole bunch of work streams as well, which are the activity groups that we organize ourselves with. But at the bigger level, these 5 pillars are supported by the credo and the values of APNIC, and they support the mission and vision, which are much the same as they have been for quite some time now, the vision of a global, open, stable, and secure internet. So I'll just report according to these pillars for the next 20 minutes. The first pillar is membership. And under membership, we've got membership services, all of the services that we provide to members as members of APNIC, and we've got membership products as well. So the membership of APNIC as of the end of July, which is the date of most of the data in this report, was 8,136 members. Now we also count in the community the members of NIRs, and there are just over 10,000 members of NIRs. So that's a total served of 18,138 organizations under the APNIC umbrella in the Asia Pacific region. So we're growing very steadily and actually very much as we expected for this year. We're trying to maintain service satisfaction. We're getting 92% 98.5% excellent and above average at the moment. We're meeting our service level agreements for member services. But there's a lot more on the status of membership services, on the appraisal by our community of APNIC's performance. And that's coming up in the report from the APNIC member survey, which will be on a little later in this meeting. Just to drill a little more into membership growth, this is again, because of COVID, you might expect that there's been some change in the membership growth trend, but in fact there hasn't. We're sticking very closely to the projections on which this whole annual budget has been based, both in terms of total membership growth, but also, as you see in this chart here, the rates of new memberships, of closed members, of reactivations has been, I mean, there are seasonal variations here, but there's been no visible slump, no major change since the COVID sort of period and the lockdowns which started in March or so. So it's really, as I said, sort of business as usual in that respect. So moving on to membership products, we're organising ourselves, and you will have heard about it in a few ways already. We're organising ourselves at the Secretariat in product groups, product teams, product development approach to those deliverables of the organisation. So under membership products, My APNIC is the main product, and work on My APNIC has included new front end work, accessibility via the single sign-on, My APNIC, the APNIC login, single sign-on, which also gives access to other products of APNIC as well. We've been busy implementing a few policy proposals in the last period. You've already heard about this morning, that the abuse and role updates in abuse and role updates for IoT objects has been underway. We have a new membership form for new members. Not many of you will have experienced that, but the benefit of that new form is a much easier process, and we're having a dramatic decrease in the number of sort of robotic fake applications that we've traditionally received. Transfer invoicing, like other aspects of the process, are now fully automated. EC and also, as of this meeting, number council elections are now fully online. And the success of that was shown in APNIC 49 when we had over 13,000 votes cast, which is a record for APNIC elections. There's some back-end work on a new API for sharing member data between internal applications as well. Trying to move on to the next slide here, the registry pillar. Again, we have registry services, we have registry products as well. In services, we have something now called the resource quality check, which allows members to see within their registered resources what's the quality according to various measures. And that's actually available under another product, which is NetOx, the Network Operators Toolbox. In the registry services area, there's been a lot of work on registry accuracy, on continually maintaining and we hope improving the accuracy of the data in the registry itself, particularly correction of and streamlining of records that are held with NIRs, work together with NIRs on the accuracy of that data, the creation of organizational objects which are recommended for all members. Another one that has just been mentioned, the validation of the IRT email, something that happens now every 6 months as a very active registry service. Reclaiming unused IP addresses is something we were asked to focus on at the last survey. It's actively underway, and there's now a new transfer listing service as part of My APNIC, which any resource holder can use to list any resources that they have that they want to make available for transfer to others. Resource delegations, also very much business as usual. In some respects, steady as she goes, IPv4, IPv6 allocations. The charts here show the sub-regional distribution of those activities, but the red, the top of the red shows the projection for the rest of the year. And we are seeing an interesting increase in ASN delegations during this year, which is an interesting possible sign of advancing topology of networks around the network and networks around the region. The reclamation of IPv4 address space is is showing some signs already with reclamation of previously reserved space into the available pool. And there's a couple of jumps in the available pool, which you see here in blue, which actually have shown this is recovery of addresses from the reserved, from the current reserve pool, and it actually has taken our available space up to about the same level as it was 12 months ago. So there'll be some implications here on the projected lifetime of IPv4 address space in the APNIC region, which I think has extended out by at least another year under these recent developments. Onto registry products. One of the main registry products that we work with is our internal registry management system, known as ARMS, the APNIC Registry Management System. And there's been a bit of work there, again, in relation to recovery of unused resources, the automatic return of terminated addresses into the free pool, as you saw in the last chart. Work on RPKI as another registry product. You've heard about the AS0 ROA project. That's proposal 132, which was put up for trial after APNIC 49 and then launched in its final implementation just before this meeting. We're supporting some external development on RPKI as well. There's our friends at NLNet Labs who are working on Krill, Routinator, and also under our support for or implementation of the resource tagged attestation, which is, as you may know, the use of a resource certificate to sign an object that may be something like a letter of authority digitally to demonstrate the holding of that resource. There's work on certificate practice statements collaboratively with RIPE NCC in that case. Another registry product is RDAP, the Registration Data Access Protocol. We launched our first cloud deployment on Google's cloud platform during the year, and that gave a pretty noticeable increase and improvement in response time, decrease in latency. And there's at least one more cloud deployment, another site on that network to happen this year. And another external piece of external work we're supporting is the implementation of RDAP in OpenBSD as well. Now, as I mentioned, there's been quite a bit of work with NIRs, and I'd just like to shout out and give some thanks to NIRs for some great collaboration over this last period. We've all got work to do on deploying and adapting to and adopting what we call next generation registry products, that is in particular RPKI and RDAP. So APNIC and the NIRs are working together to make sure we've got uniformity in those services, as well as generally on registry data correctness and quality. RPKI adoption is something we track. We've now got 40% of members with RPKI certificates and with ROAs registered. We've got around 15% of all IPv4 and IPv6 address space covered by ROAs these days. So that's a reasonably rapidly growing trend, this one, and very good to see. Policy development, also under our registry services area. Not much policy action this year. In fact, at APNIC 49, we had 3 policies, two of them returned, one withdrawn. At this meeting, informational presentations only. But we are working on, and we reported on, a policy document review process where we'll be working on the integrity, the consistency, and an open review of policy documentation. And that will actually address some of the policy proposals which we've seen in recent years, in particular a couple of the ones that came up at APNIC 49. So we hope to sort of amend and improve on some of the policy documentation in order to avoid the need for sort of that kind of discussion to be taking up time. Now I'll move on to the development pillar now. Something which is different in this period from what we had expected to be doing at the beginning of the year is something we call NFH, networking from home. Now, this was a response to the disruptions that we saw in the regional meeting schedule, the regional NOG schedule in particular, due to COVID-19. We made an agreement, made arrangements with 21 of the NOGs in the region to hold sub-regional meetings on a schedule which happened in June, July, and early August. Meetings timed for the local time zone, which would kind of take the place of a lot of the NOG activity which was being disrupted or cancelled due to COVID-19. And that was really a great success. In those 4 meetings, we had 1,219 participants joining from 45 different economies. They were short events, 2.5 hours in total, but the average session time was 67% of that 2.5 hours. It was an hour and 40. And so that was really a great collaboration, working with the NOGs to form program committees, NOGs providing speakers, moderators, and panelists. And that effort seemed to be really well appreciated during this last period. We're adapting academy training activities a lot as well to COVID-19. There's a new online training program which has been put together under COVID-19 to cope with the fact that we just haven't been doing face-to-face training since March. A new catalogue, learning pathways. We are still working with now 18 community trainers. They delivered face-to-face training at several NOG events early in the year, but they are still during this year assisting with live online courses that are being presented through the Academy. Some new content, network management and monitoring, virtual labs, new courses in video format, new multilingual support, in particular for Bengali in the last period. And under the Academy, we're also developing the support for online technical assistance. And in this period, we also spent some time providing technical assistance, in particular to IXPs in Fiji, Vietnam, Maldives, Hong Kong, Malaysia. So we're pretty busy in that area as well. The APNIC Academy, by the numbers, again, as I say, pretty busy, particularly with the online courses in the right-hand column there. So during this period, 1,700 certificates completed for online courses, 1,900 hours, nearly 3,000 virtual lab sessions, each of them lasting nearly an hour, 5,500 active students in the online academy out of nearly 10,000 in total. So we're keeping up the academy activity, and something you may hear it in the report from the survey for 2020 is that the virtual labs have turned out to be the most valued and appreciated part of the APNIC Academy's services now. So really congratulations to the Academy team on putting that together. It's really obviously well used and appreciated. We are not by any means forgetting IPv6 support. There were training sessions in the beginning of the year. There are online training sessions ongoing. There's been a lot of blog activity on IPv6 during this period, including what's now 38 separately documented deployment success stories for IPv6. So I would say that no matter what your IPv6 deployment challenge is, you should find a success story that could help you in that challenge by going and visiting the APNIC blog. And APNIC Labs is continuing its global capability measurement, and our Asia Pacific capability is around about 30% these days. And you can see there the trend that is, it's up and down according to these figures, but there's a linear ongoing continual growth in IPv6, which has been great to see. Infrastructure support, again, we supported IXPs. We donated several used switches from the APNIC stock. We provided that online technical support, mentioned that already. We also have in the root server side of things, we've got a new MOU that is for MRoot. That is, so we are working as a kind of co-operator with the WIDE project and with JPRS in Japan on MRoot, and we'll be deploying a lot more MRoot instances going into the future, with the first ones coming up in Brisbane and in Vietnam. The HoneyNet backend systems have been upgraded, and we've got 3 new HoneyNet partners which have joined us in Hong Kong, Bangladesh, and Japan. And of course, Dash, the dashboard for AS Health, is the place where you can go and take a look at the HoneyNet data that's been collected from all over the place now. Now here is an interesting chart showing the impact of COVID on the APNIC engagement activities. So the column chart you see on the right here shows that it was actually in March and April that we had a pretty major drop in our online, in our community engagement, and that was due to COVID. It took us that period of time to get ourselves ramped up towards really executing and also recording the online engagements that we're having. And you'll see now that June, July, August, we're back up to a pretty active rate of engagements across the community. Now, these are a majority training-related engagements, but there are many other activities that APNIC staff are engaged with in the security community, with NOGs, with general technical assistance and outreach, the foundation as well. And if you add all of those together, you still get a pretty respectable level of engagement that's happening all online these days by APNIC staff. Moving on to the information pillar. Again, information products and services. The first here is the APNIC blog, which is being very well used during this period. I suppose something you may notice here is that the number of blog posts has been a little bit at the lower end for the last few months, but it's bumped up in July and since. The views per post has been increased though, and so on the left-hand side you see the monthly views are higher than ever in the last few months, up 23% as an average views per month since 2019. So the blog really is established as a popular and valuable aspect of APNIC's information services these days. Now, information products, we heard a little about these during the products and services session. There are three: the Internet Directory, which is a browsable interface into the APNIC's primary resource allocation and management statistics, and that's under development with information interface improvements and a rearrangement of the sort of information architecture in there, some developments to provide better economy level view of the information in that directory as well. Something else you'll see in our across these products is a metric that we're using for usability, and we've got both targets and scores on the usability of APNIC products across the board. Our target for Internet Directory is 4.5 and our score is 4.7. So I suppose we're doing better than we'd hoped. Dash is the dashboard for our AS Health, which I've mentioned, primarily a mechanism for accessing HoneyNet data to let you know if your network is involving itself somehow in attacks that are detected by HoneyNets. NetOx, the Network Operators Toolbox, that's actually in case you don't know, it's our localized version of RIPE stats from our friends at RIPE NCC. And we've had some localization into simplified Chinese in this period and also scoring well on usability. Now, capability is the last pillar. It refers to all of the internal infrastructure and capacities that APNIC has at the Secretariat to do the work that we do. And transitioning ourselves over into this product management framework has been one of those activities over the last couple of years. During this year, we have launched, in addition to membership and registry product teams, we've launched Academy and information product teams. And so that trend is being extended throughout the organization. These teams also run on an agile approach, an agile methodology, and that agility and a formal agile approach is being rolled out through more teams at APNIC in addition to the 4 product teams as well. There's a lot that's gone on internal technical infrastructure. I won't go into all of these in detail, but it's got to do with our information architecture, our network infrastructure, systems and platforms, our formal CCERT operations, which is now a formal group within the Secretariat, enterprise applications as well. So you can see all the details in that long list there. In the business area and in the area of governance, we have had our latest external audit to our ISO 9001 QMS, and that was passed with flying colors. We are considering the adoption of ISO 27,001 for the information systems management system as well. COVID-19, at APNIC, we've got a pretty thorough approach to workplace health and safety. COVID-19 has been a challenge for us, but we have had a very systematic approach to COVID-19 with a dedicated BCP, business continuity planning team, established meeting regularly, and designing our work from home regime and managing that as time has gone on in all of our office facilities and access and hygiene management and so on to keep everyone at APNIC safe. On governance and legal, we have a revised strategic risk register in the hands of the EC under the strategic plan for this new period. And we've had crisis management and communications training within the office as well. That's all from me. This is a picture from the APNIC staff planning meeting that happened last year. And it's thanks from me and thanks from everyone at APNIC. Back to you, Garrett.
Paul, that was an interesting report, and thanks for. And I think I'll point out to the audience here that in the opening address 2 days ago, I talked about the new format, which actually are represented like pillars. We call them pillars, but they're also visually depicted as a pillar, a Greek pillar, so to say. In the report, and so this is a new format, a new way of reporting. So we'll be keen to see how the membership looks at it and receives it. Hopefully, this is going to be easier to interpret what the Secretariat is working on and where our priorities lies on behalf of the APNIC EC. Thank you, Paul, and to all the Secretariat staff who keeps the engine running on APNIC. Appreciate that. Next on, we'll
Gaurav,
have.
Sorry, Gaurav, there's a couple of questions in Q&A for Paul, I believe.
We will do the Q&A during open mic.
Okay, thank you, Gaurav.
Yeah. So next up, we'll do the APNIC EC Treasury report by Kenny.
Okay, thank you, Kara. I'm trying to share my presentation. Okay, can you see the report?
No.
Not yet, Kenny.
Not yet?
Not yet.
Okay, hold on.
Is he wearing it?
Kenny, would you like us to share the report?
Oh, yes.
Okay, I'll bring it.
Hold on, let me check.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, listen.
Okay. So can you check the report for me?
Yeah, we'll share it for you and just let us know when you want to move to the next slide, please.
Okay, right.
Thank you.
I tried it before.
Kenny, can you see the slides?
I couldn't see the slide. Hold on. Sorry.
Yeah, I tried the full screen with.
Oh, yeah. 他现在是由他那边来丢。Okay, I can see the slide. Sorry for the interruption. My name is Kenny Huang, APNIC Treasurer, and I'm happy to give in the Treasury report. And next slide, please. Okay, the Treasury report was split into two parts. The first part is year-to-date on the end of June 2020 financial performance, and the second part will be year-to-date on the end of June 2020 activity reporting. Next slide, please. So go to the first part, next slide. Okay, here is try to summarize the key activity, key measure at end of June 2020. Equity position increased by 5% today in 2020, and revenue tracking below year-to-date budget, and also expense tracking below year-to-date budget. Operating surplus year-to-date at 2 million, forecast at 3.2 million. Year-to-date cash flow will be 1.9 million in 2020. Activity expenditure below the budget estimate due to COVID-19 restriction. So new member growth above budget 419 versus budget 390. Next slide, please. So here's a summary of the financial position. Our asset, including total current asset, will be $12,644,000. That's in Australian dollars. And total non-current asset will be $34,730,000. So our total asset was $47,375,000. And liability, total current liability will be $30,616,000. Most of the current liability will come from unearned revenue. So our total liability will be $15,100,000. So net asset total equity will be $32,274,000. Next slide, please. Last operating surplus year to date on the end of June 2020. Our total revenue is about $12,069,000, which is about 6% compared to last year. Total expense was $10,055,000. And so our operating surplus is $2,040,000. The fair value gain or loss on the financial asset was being minus $464,000. That's because of the COVID-19 restriction. So our surplus year to date on the end of June 2020 is $1,564,000. Next slide, please. The statement of income, most of our income from the membership. Our membership fee is $11,052,000, and our total revenue is $12,069,000 year to date. Next slide, please. That's our investment portfolio performance year to date on the 30th of June 2020. Total APNIC portfolio will be $27,440,000. The different portfolio, you can see the chart below. And next slide, please. Our membership still keep growing and looking quite healthy. Most of the members join APNIC will be a small and very small member, and total amount of our membership will accommodate to 8,075 members. Next slide, please. That's our membership growth. You can see the different color. The yellow color stands for very small membership, and the orange color stands for small membership. Most of the members are in these two categories. Next slide, please. The membership movement by economy. You can see most of the members come from Bangladesh, Australia, Hong Kong, and also China and India. Next slide, please. Last membership closure year to date on the end of June 2020. Because of the no payment, that will be 31%, and some other reasons such as merger and acquisition, and also volunteer member closure. Next slide, please. The statement of income from expense side, the major difference will be travel expense because the COVID-19 travel restrictions. So our expenditure on the travel expense will be impact the most. And so far, year to date on the end of June 2020, travel expense will be $330,000. Last compared to last year was 71% difference. The total expense was $1,055,000. Next slide, please. Next slide. The capital expenditure on the 2020, the equipment and software and to the end of June 2020 will be $172,000, and including some other office furniture and fitting is $4,314. So total capital expenditure until end of June will be $176,000. Next slide, please. Last APNIC revenue, you can see some of our financial asset and also our cash and our property composition. And most of our asset will be financial asset. Next slide, please. Our financial stability measure, the number of months of expense covered by equity will be 15.94 months, according to the end of June 2020. Next slide. So go to the second part until end of June 2020, year-to-date activity reporting. Next slide. As Paul just introduced, because our expense will be regrouped by different pillars, including for example, like starting from membership and registry and development, information and capability. And most of the expense go to development and also capability. Okay, next slide, please. Until end of June 2020, expense by pillar and work stream, because we have 5 work streams as introduced. So the work stream including total membership and also registry, development, information, and capability. And let's go into more detail. Oh, next slide, please. That's until end of June 2020, and CapEx by pillar and work stream, and also regroup different work stream and different pillar to see how we allocate our resource, our budget into different work stream and different pillar. So next slide, please. Okay, that's pretty much end of my presentation. And if you're looking for more detailed information, you can go to APNIC/transparency to get more information regarding to APNIC activity report and also financial report. Thank you.
As I said earlier, we'll take all the questions during the open mic. So if you have any questions, please put them in the Q&A, or you can raise your hand and then you can ask it on audio during the open mic. That should work better. Next up is actually myself, and I'll be presenting the EC report.
Gaurav, would you like us to share your report?
The time zone.
No, can you give me the presenter slot?
You're saying you can't.
Presenter slot.
It should be the green share screen.
Saying.
Gaurav, do you see the shared screen on green button in the Zoom control?
Now I see it. Okay, I think it's going to work now. Let me get this.
Gaurav, we are happy to share if you want us to share the slides.
Yeah, we might have to do that because I'm not.
Okay, we're sharing the slides. Gaurav, just let us know when you.
Okay.
Can you see it?
Yep.
Thanks.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Once again, I'm Gaurav Upadhyay. We did the round of introductions earlier. Today, all of our EC members are present here, including Camps, whom we missed during the initial introduction round. He'll be joining us during the open mic. Next. So as you all know, but it's important to reiterate that the APNIC EC is an organization or is the body that is defined in our bylaws. We are elected by the members. We represent the interest of members in the governance of APNIC. We provide oversight to APNIC activities. We do broad policy issues and set APNIC's strategic directions. We set membership fees, and then we endorse the policy consensus towards implementation. After a policy is reached consensus at the policy SIG and the AMM, we endorse it so that it can be implemented by the Secretariat. Next. The APNIC EC meetings, they are usually 4 times a year. We've had 5 EC meetings since the last AGM, though, because we had a couple of important things to discuss. We would have generally had 2 meetings so far, including the one during the current meeting, but we had a few additional meetings, mainly around our AP IDT considerations in earlier in the year. So you can find the records of all of those online at apnic.net/EC. We currently are having an EC meeting that has been adjourned. Generally, this meeting happens in person during the APNIC meeting, but since we are not meeting in person, we decided to break it up into 2 parts, with the first part happened last week, and the remaining part of the meeting will happen tomorrow or the day after, on the 11th of September. Next one, please. So that is what our attendance record looks like. There is at least one meeting where we recused ourselves because of conflict of interest, topics being discussed, myself, Achi, and Camps. But beyond that, we have had regular meetings since 49. Obviously, the first meeting of the year was at Apricot or APNIC 49. Next one. So COVID-19, the EC role. We share the responsibility towards the, all of our staff and our members and everyone who comes in contact with APNIC. We have a dedicated work, health, and safety liaison on the EC. That role is performed by Kamsi. He's been doing that since the last year. And he works with the APNIC Secretariat and HR to make sure that we are following all relevant safety procedures. During COVID-19, then this actually started before the last meeting. In January 2020, Secretariat formed a best practices response team, and then we received report from the team regularly, both before APNIC 49 in Melbourne and after that as well. The new normal for APNIC is looking a bit different since pretty much the beginning of the year. We haven't had a lot of travel. The only limited travel was mostly to Melbourne within Australia. The offices were closed for a period of time, and then we've opened it following the Queensland state laws and the guidance from the government. If you are more interested in that, feel free to chat up with one of the staff members on the specifics of it. But I think we've been keeping a close eye on it, and we will basically keep following the relevant guidance, not only from the Queensland government, but also from other sources that we've used in the past for travel advice and safety of the staff. Next one, please. The next topic here was the APNIC 2020 survey. The EC, for the EC, this is one of the most important things that happens or this is one of the more important roles we perform. And every 2 years we conduct a survey, and I spoke a little bit about it earlier in the week. It covers our performance, our priorities, and future activities. What do you want APNIC to do? It is independent and anonymous. We contract the entire survey out to an organization in Australia that performs surveys for a lot of other organizations like this, like ours, and they report back to us. We had two parts of the survey. First one was online interviews. In the past or in the previous years, we've organized small focus groups in different parts of our region. Obviously, this year we could not do that because obviously no travel and not possibility of getting people together. So we conducted, the surveyors conducted online interviews during the month of April. We also did some preliminary work earlier in the year, and then the online survey was done in July. We extended the use of language translations to 16 languages this year, and we had almost 1,600, we had 1,624 respondents, of which 35% were received in languages other than English. So thank you to all of you who responded. We'll have a presentation on the survey later in the day by Brenda, so we can discuss more about it there. But you can go and get your own report on of the survey at apnic.net/survey right away. Next one, please. On the finances, we just heard from Kenny. The overall membership growth is in line with budget assumptions. As of end of July, we had 8,136 members. The 2020 operating surplus is forecast above budget, mainly because the revenue continues to track in line with our budget expectations, but expenses are tracking well below budget because mainly we have not been traveling, which constitute a fair portion of our budget in normal times. We've also, and then we have started discussing about the financial outlook for the next year, and the EC did an initial review earlier this week or last week in the EC meeting, and we hope to complete the planning and the budget approval by December, by December of this year. Next one, please. So the other thing we implemented, and we did this in Melbourne as well, and launched it there. We have moved on to full electronic voting implemented for EC elections. And when we launched it at Melbourne, the total votes received was the highest on record. We never had so many votes casted. And I guess, it was a precursor to things to come. Obviously, we didn't, with COVID happening, we are now forced to do 100% online voting. And so we implemented it for the NRO-NC elections, which you will hear about soon after I'm done, or soon after the open mic. We are beginning the NRO-NC elections at this APNIC 50. And if you've noticed, you've also realized that we have some new eligibility criteria that has been approved by the EC to be NRO-NC election candidate. And that was one of the feedback that we had received in earlier year surveys. There is also another election we generally conduct, which is the election for the INA Review Committee. We basically decided to defer the election for 12 months because we, in the past, we basically had a show of hands election, and we, based on the good work that the team has already been doing, we requested that Bertrand serve another 12 months in his term, and he has agreed. So thanks to him, we are extending that, and we will bring this back into the election fold starting next year again. The AP-IDT, we have a full presentation about AP-IDT after the break, but the background to this is we basically received a request from Professor Jun Murai that he would want to transfer and sell the 43/8 that has been historical space owned by the White Project and Murai-san since the early days of internet in Japan. His desire was to use the proceeds for internet development in the Asia Pacific region. So we got that proposal last year around this time, or actually pretty early last year. We worked through it, looked at the various models, and we decided that the best way to do that would be to form a joint trust between the White and APNIC. And so the trust was established in January. It was announced in March to the internet community by the White Project and APNIC. We held webinars, wrote blogs about the development, and then we assigned KPMG to develop and the sale process for 43/8 completely independently of APNIC. This process was approved on 4th May. Of course, as I indicated earlier, myself, Kamsi, and Atsi recused because we saw a potential conflict of interest in our employers being interested in the proceeds or the process. The proceeds from the sale of 43/8 will be invested to provide an ongoing income to various activities to support the internet development in our region. Our intent is to use APNIC Foundation as the vehicle, but we are also going to onboard new partners as recipients of the grant to help grow the internet, develop the internet in the Asia Pacific region. This has had a big impact on the foundation itself, because when the foundation was established, we foresaw that the foundation has to be self-sufficient in 5 to 10 years. But with this big grant and the possibility of increasing funding, the APNIC Foundation will now be standing a lot more on its own and will continue to build on its strength from the last 3 years. We'll have there is a report on the APNIC Foundation on the website if you are interested, or you can contact us or contact Duncan if you have any questions on the foundation itself. But with this development of AP-IDT, APNIC's contribution to the foundation will reduce because now the foundation can sustain itself, whereas the foundation, APNIC Foundation and APNIC will continue to work together to strengthen the internet and in the region. So those were the highlights from the EC. for the last period. The APDIT or APIDT, was a big move. We had not done something like that before, but we also got a request from Murai-san, and we could not refuse that because it was a good intent. So we went ahead and set up the mechanism so that we can benefit from that. And at the same time, we are strengthening the formation and the structure of the foundation itself so that it can benefit, and the governance of that is still all within APNIC EC's purview. So those are the big news. We will hear more about the survey, but at this point, I would like to go to the open mic section. We already have a few questions on there. So we'll start with the initial questions that we had. And then we'll take all of these questions. After the open mic, we have Mr. Munir Hassan already available with the election results of the NRO elections. So I will go on to the Q&A. I see 3 questions. 2 have been answered already. But we'll go and see. I think, Paul, you can take this question, which was the first one was, what is the community uptake of information products? That question was from Aftab.
Thank you, Aftab. Thanks, Garib. I think Sophia might be available and able to answer that one. I don't have the figures at hand, but we definitely do. Is Sophia Berenger available? Okay, Sophia is available. Can you speak, Sophia?
Hey, Paul, I think we can take that offline. I think we are starting to run tight on time. So after, I encourage you to contact Paul in the social later. We can have this discussion in the social room.
Happy to find the notes.
Yeah, the link is there. I think this would be interest to a lot of people. There was another question about what steps APNIC is taking to enable their NIRs to have portal like APNIC with features, because a lot of NIRs still don't have them after a significant time.
Yeah, sure. Look, NIRs are responsible to provide services that their members need, and traditionally they've done that, say, for instance, in the local language. So up until recently, there wasn't a lot of talk that NIRs might need support in developing services, but it's actually correct that now that is changing, and I think that's clearly because there are some more complex and more dynamic services happening that we all need to work together on, like RPKI, RDAP as well. So it may well be the NIR's responsibility, but APNIC has spent a lot of effort and we've worked very well together with the NIRs on starting development efforts, and we're prepared to keep doing that while there are resources to do that. But I should probably say that we need to develop those NIR services based on a sort of standardization. So we need to work with all the NIRs together and agree on what those services to look like, so that we're not diverging or kind of serving conflicting needs. One of the advantages of the NIR structure, of course, is that they can diversify, that NIRs can respond differently to different community needs, and so that allows a bit of divergence. But I think when we're talking about being able to develop those services for NIRs working together, we need to do that on some standardization. So I think we all understand that, and that's the direction we're taking. But it is there is quite a bit of work to do. I hope that helps.
Yeah, I think we have 3 questions. I'll close the questions now. So Paul, if you want to take those, there is one question from Mr. Parhar, question to Paul. The COVID pandemic has shown that pandemics can be a huge risk factor to different businesses. Fortunately, internet businesses has been spared relatively. However, it will still require to upgrade our risk assessment strategy. Any views on this?
Look, it probably does, Perha, but I think we would divide the COVID risk up into a sort of workplace health and safety risk, a financial risk, and maybe some other sort of categories of risk, and cover them under our current risk assessment strategy. But that's something that's dynamic, so we do need to keep our eye on it, make sure that we're well covered and up to date, and that's going to go on as we understand more and see what the end state is with COVID for some more time.
Thanks. There's another question from Amrita here, which is about more interactions. She says, with most interactions expected to be virtual owing to the pandemic, is there any specific activity which APNIC is planning going forward, apart from existing initiative, including, I think, Amrita, you mean the networking from home initiative by APNIC for capacity building in the community? I can take that one. I think it is an ongoing process. I think we got hit pretty without any notice, pretty much. I think we had a lot of plans to go do in-person training, increase that. But once the pandemic hit and everything shut down, we've seen a much larger intake of the online training activities that we've always had. But the online training was always supplemented by in-person training. And now we've seen a big uptake in online engagement directly because people realize that that's the way to do it. In fact, you'll see in the activities report that we are soon, I'm not so sure of the date, maybe Chihu can chime into the social later on. We are going to conduct an online workshop very soon to continue to give the members and the engineers and people who are used to getting the trainings from us ongoing. But I think it's also about learning. So I think Amrita and as well as other community members, we welcome all kinds of feedback on what is working, what is not working. The NFH was really successful, we think. We had a lot of participants, a variety of conversation. We worked together with the NOGs. But we welcome more feedback, and I think it's a learning for all of us. We're trying a whole bunch of new things, like the hop in. The social activity is new, even for us. We've tried that. There's some success there. We've discussed a few other ways of promoting or talking about policy and specific topics with the community in future. But all of this is still something we're working on. You'll definitely see new things coming from us. But let's work together on this. Now there are two questions on the financial stuff. One is that it was clear back in March that there will be no travel for a few months, hence no travel expenses. Then why no benefit was transferred to the membership? While small businesses were struggling, and report suggests that at the same time, the account closure because of non-payment was 11% contactable and voluntary 25%. On top of that, APNIC still charges 10 to 12% surcharge if you want to pay quarterly or half-yearly payments. That was one. The other one was a minor question about, can you explain the rise in sundry income of 270K this year? What are the sources of those miscellaneous income? Paul, you want to take that, or Kenny?
I can answer the first part because although we don't have any trouble at all this year. Actually, we don't have any trouble at all. But you can see our expense report. Actually, the expense is just one part, and also the other part growth is a communication cost. We also increase the communication cost as well. And if you consider until the end of this year, based on the forecast, actually, there's not just a very minor difference compared to what we budget. So, Paul, do you want to add something more? Or
Yeah, the sundry income actually is cost recovery from the foundation. So APNIC is involved with the implementation of quite a number of quite a large amount of foundation activity, and so in some cases that actually is a cost incurred by APNIC, which is charged back to, or a service provided by APNIC, which is charged back to the foundation. So I think that accounts for all of that. In the past, we might have had meeting sponsorship and some training revenue in there, but that would not be a great deal in this year for sure. I hope that helps.
Yeah, the other one was the question about why did we not do a relief? I think the answer to that was more, we did look at the closures and the voluntary and involuntary. I don't believe that they were COVID related, or in fact it was businesses going completely out of business because of other reasons. Might have been COVID related, might have been something else, but I don't think we received any of that request. We did facilitate in the beginning request from a lot of members about delayed payment because inability to go to banks, inability to process. And Sanjay probably has the right numbers because he was looking into those. We are not charging any late fees or being very lenient about when the payments are made, at least up to now. Because yeah, obviously, we are looking at it from a very practical point of view. But that thing about, paying quarterly, I think that is worth a review. So thanks for that feedback. If people want to pay in advance, maybe we can facilitate that. But I think it is something we are aware of. We are also aware that we certainly have more money than we expected to have. But one of the guiding principles for the EC has always been our goal to get to that 18 months of operating surplus in the bank. And I think this year, with the expenses going low, we'll likely hit that at the end of the year. So I think that's what, one of the reasons is that we have not touched the fees. Also, we just made a big fee change last year. And the impact of that is not known yet. And so we are playing it a bit carefully. But I think I can assure you that I don't think anyone has gone out of business because of APNIC fees. And it has all been very mutually agreeable that companies have gone out. And in fact, a lot of them have closed because they don't want to be seen as not paying the bills sometime in future. So it's been that. Happy to dig into that more as a follow-up on that. So let's do that, Paul. I think we've closed the questions for now. We had another question, but unfortunately I closed the Q&A. There is another open mic later on, so we can take it then. So keep the answers there. For now, we are running late, so I'll request Mr. Munir Hassan. I see Osan Vai here. So we'll request him to announce the NRO NC election results.
Thank you, Gaurav. We are done. I'm happy to say that election results are with me, and I'm very happy that there have been no dispute at all. And it's also been advised by my scrutinizer, John and Marco, that they witnessed the vote downloading process, and there were no issues or anomalies to report. Everything went well. So, NRO number council election 2020, the poll closed on this today at 15:30 AEST. So I have the results now. So we have 4 candidates. Mr. Shubham Sharan, he got 188 votes. Mr. Shujanu Rahman, MD Shujanu Rahman, he got 185 votes. Nicole Chan got 76 votes. Jeffrey Gary got 9 votes, a total 458 votes. So the nominee who is successfully elected into the NRO number council is Shubham Sharan. So he got 188 votes. So congratulations, Shubham. Hopefully you will do a good work in next 2 years. Thank you all, and thank you everybody for writing your votes. And we have just concluded the NRO number council vote for this year. Thank you, Gaurav. over to you.
Thank you, Munir Bhai. Thank you for stepping in. Next time we're in Bangladesh, we'll definitely come and see you and welcome you back to our events. I think we've expressed this so many times that we miss not being in Dhaka, not having our masbat, So having said that, congratulations to Subham, who is from one of our NIRs, Nixie Irin. Good luck with the NRO NC. Also, a big thanks to Mr. Brajesh Jain and Simon Suhel Boroi, who have served on the NRO NC for the last years on serving the community and participating in the process. And hopefully we'll continue to see both Mr. Jain and Simon in our meetings in future. We'll look forward to Subham being on the NRO-NC. Thank you, everyone. Also, thank you to all the other 3 participants in the process. It is always good to have a good turnout, a good number of candidates. So thank you to all who participated in this elections. And congratulations to Subham, and we'll look forward to working with you. I think having said that, we are running out of time, but we'll do a quick 5-minute bio break for everyone and then reconvene immediately afterwards right here. So we'll do a 5-minute break.
Thank you, Gaurav. Thanks for the participation again, everyone. So as Gaurav said, we will start in 5 minutes. Please log out of this session, and the next session, there's a Zoom link. You can join that one in 5 minutes time. Thanks to all the EC members as well. See you soon again.